Hey guys, happy Monday. Super excited to be here with you. We are going to talk about a topic that I'm really becoming very passionate about. The more that I realize how our lack of movement, our sedentary lives are contributing to our growing health issues. Okay, so if we have not met before, my name is Dylan Miller, and I am super passionate about helping people become the best versions of themselves. Okay, and if you are maybe have taken on a sit-down job or just recognize that you're not moving as much as you need, that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? And I'm going to post some links for you and lots of things for you to look at, but my goal is really just to even plant a seed for you, just to get you thinking, because this sedentary behavior or too much sitting has really been accepted as a major contributor to negative health problems, okay? So such outcomes include certain cancers, anxiety, depression, certain cardiovascular diseases, overweight or obesity, high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol levels, just to name a few, okay? So these are kind of the big ones. And the World Health Organization actually has reported that 60 to 85% of the world's population does not engage in enough physical activity. Okay, 60 to 85%. That's huge, okay? In fact, a lack of physical activity is the fourth leading risk factor for global mortality, okay? So not just within North America, globally, okay? And there's a number of different reasons why this is even happening in other parts of the world as well. Estimates show that a sedentary lifestyle is responsible for 6% of coronary heart disease cases, 7% of type 2 diabetes, 10% of breast cancer, and 10% of colon cancer cases. Okay, so guys, this is significant. And physical inactivity is now responsible for more annual deaths than smoking. Right? So this isn't 1960. It's not cool to smoke anymore. Everybody knows this, but it's cool to sit on your butt and watch Netflix all day. Okay? So I'm even coming from you in the standing position. Okay? So I thought, you know what? I got to lead by example. And this is actually where I spend the bulk of my time when I am working from the computer. I'm standing. I'm here in my kitchen. I'm at my island. I've got my cozy floor mat underneath of me. You know, one of those pressure ones that you get at Costco? They're brilliant. I have one of those underneath of me, and my energy is up, okay? So I didn't want to sit for you guys today. We are going to get up, and feel free to put your earphones in and go for a walk while I'm listening to you, right? Or while you're listening to me right now. Because really, you gotta think, like, how much is too much, right? And studies are actually reporting that we spend on average more time sitting than sleeping, okay? So we know sleeping at night is 6 to 8 hours. We're then sitting more than that. And obviously we're not up and moving while we're sleeping. Well, maybe some of you are. I'm not. When added together, more than half of our awake time is spent doing sedentary behaviors such as sitting. Current research tells us exercise cannot be compensated for too much sitting, okay? So this means that even if you get the recommended 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity per week, you're still at risk for negative impacts because of sitting too much, okay? Getting up and even walking or standing, you cannot fake the things that are happening to your body when you're not sitting, okay? The sitting disease has been coined by the scientific community to refer to all of the ill effects of our overly sedentary lifestyles, okay? So we sit while we're driving, while we're eating, while we're watching TV, while we're working. And when you really think about it, that's a lot of sitting, right? And I remember even when I was at my corporate job, I had to cognizantly, and even I got to a point where I had to set an alarm every 45 minutes just to get up off my butt, and go for a walk, right? So I would use this as an opportunity to, like, even if it was like go to the bathroom or get a drink or go talk to somebody or whatever, right? But really setting an intention to move a little bit, okay? Because you have to, and you look at what's led us here as a species, right? And the main contributing factor leading to our sedentary lifestyles is technology, okay? You've got technology when it comes to transportation, desk jobs, and just other seated activities like TV, web surfing, video games, all those sorts of things, okay? I'm sure you can think of probably 10 other things you like to do while sitting down. But our sedentary jobs have even increased 83% since 1950. So while jobs requiring more physical activity only account for about 25% of the job industry. So, and it's getting to be more and more every day, because the people that used to even stand in factories are now being replaced by machines. And then there's people coming in, sitting and controlling all the machines, right? So prolonged sitting at even like a poorly designed workstation really contributes to a number of musculoskeletal disorders. And I'm sure if you don't have already, someone that that has carpal tunnel syndrome or lower back issues or neck dysfunction, or even tendonitis, right? So if that isn't scary enough, sitting for long hours can also reduce blood flow, irritate nerves, and cause micro trauma to the muscle groups. So since the average individual spends up to 8 or more hours at work, it stands to reason that the best time to increase your activity levels is at work, right? One sec, got the kids home today. Okay. All right, sorry about that. Tis having the kiddos home. Happy holiday Monday. So what was I talking about? So I was talking about how, because we spend most of our time at work, it makes sense that this is where we should start fitting in a lot of our activity. So there's good news. Sorry, I just gave you all these stats on how we're sitting around too much and you're going, oh, this sucks. What am I thinking? I want you to know some good news, okay? Simply by standing more and sitting less, you can absolutely reap these health benefits. So your health, your mind, your body, okay? So for your health, standing more can lower your risk of issues ranging from cancer to early mortality, okay? Did you know? For your mind, standing can increase your energy. It'll lower your rates of stress, and it actually improves your mood when you're standing. And for your body specifically, standing more can give your metabolism a boost. It will actually tone your muscles and reduce minor aches and pains. So this is significant, right? Because when you look at something that maybe you're trying to tackle within your body, it's important to recognize that, we've almost become our worst, people we've become bad for ourselves in the fact that, we're kind of caught in these roles where we think we have to be sitting all the time. And then we contribute then to lower energy levels. And I talk to people all the time that are like, what do you got for oils for energy, or oils for sleep, or oils for, and I'm like, there's lots of plants that can help boost these things, but you have it within your body already to completely change your state, right? And even I know this is like prime example after going to like having to talk to my kids about sticking with their quiet activity for a little bit while mommy does this. I feel like I'm happy that I'm standing right now because I can absolutely, and if you guys are Tony Robbins fans, where are my Tony Robbins fans at? You have to like, and I do this on a regular basis. I'll just jump, or even when I was in my corporate job, and I'm not designed to sit for long periods of time. I'm like squirrel distraction all the time, and sitting in a meeting for even an hour was very painful. And I used to like just go and either excuse myself if it was longer than an hour, and I would literally go into the bathroom and like just jump just to get some energy back, right? Get that blood flowing, lower my stress levels, increase my energy, and it releases all of those hormones in you that you need in order to function as the human being that you want to. So there's a ton of health benefits. Standing for even just a few minutes each hour is associated with so many different benefits to your health. So even try adjusting your desk or find other times during the workday that you can stand and work for even 10 minutes at a time. So I know I didn't have a standing desk at the hospital, but I had opportunities and a little bit of freedom where I could get up and go and walk around. Or even I was a huge advocate for like walking meetings, which we're gonna talk about a little bit. But even just standing for 10 minutes, this is what it will do, okay? 10 minutes every hour. So for every hour you're sitting, stand for 10 minutes. You will have improved bone health, regular movement helps to maintain your strength. You will have regular movement also boost your natural antioxidants to combat like cancer-causing free radicals that are in your body. So such cancers include colon, breast, or endometriosis, okay? Or endometrial skin. And your working parts there. You have lower risk of cardiovascular disease and death due to heart attacks. You're reducing your risk of early mortality. Breaking up sitting can also aid your insulin levels, right? So if you are pre-diabetic, or even if you haven't been told you're pre-diabetic, I think the most of our society is pre-diabetic because we're sitting so much, right? Insulin is such an important hormone within your body that you need to keep moving, right? Reduce bad cholesterols and increase good cholesterols, which will also improve your blood pressure. All of these things happen just for standing for 10 minutes, okay? So again, I really recommend setting a timer. I had a timer going in my office, and I would just restart it every time I sat down, because you kind of get in the zone, right? And there was like no excuses. The last part will be accountability, and we'll get there. But increased standing time throughout the day has been shown to even improve your mental abilities. So it will improve your mental capacity because you're having increased oxygen and nutrient delivery to the brain, which is ultimately enhancing your brain power, which is kind of a big deal. Standing also promotes just a greater mental awareness, right? Like I can't tell you how many times, even when driving, you get to the point where you're like, I don't even remember driving home after work, or I'm be almost falling asleep at a meeting or at my desk, right? Because I'm not alert, I'm sitting there and I'm basically sleeping, right? You've all had this at some point. And you will have more concentration, and obviously as your concentration improves, so does your productivity. So moving different muscles allows fresh blood and oxygen to be pumped through your body up to your brain, and is releasing all of those happy mood chemicals, all of these things that I always talk about that you cannot fake. You cannot take a pill that's going to do this in a healthy way, right? Not when you can just get up and move, right? You need that, instead of going for that afternoon coffee, try that afternoon like jump or walk, and you will find that you will get a jolt of energy that no cup of caffeine will absolutely give you. And there's huge benefits to your body, obviously, while doing this too. Standing and moving throughout the day has been linked to a number of benefits to your body. And it's important to avoid staying seated for longer periods of time for a number of reasons. When you're standing, you're burning more calories, right? So I'm burning calories just while standing here. I'm not doing anything, but I'm burning calories. My circulation is also increased. I've increased enzyme power to metabolize the food that I just ate. Standing requires use of large muscle groups that aid in things like balance and supporting my joints and my health. It is a natural pain reliever, right? And I'm sure, and I know I've hurt my lower back before as well. And if you know anybody that's hurt their lower back, laying down on the couch is the absolute worst thing that you can do, right? Getting up and moving, even if it's slow. And I remember even after both of my C-sections, it was like the faster you could get up and like even just walk the halls and move, right? Get all that blood circulating. If you're laying down, this is where you have a larger risk for things like herniated discs, damaged nerves, degenerated joints. And then, you know, because of the lack of everything going to your brain, you have an increased risk of things like dementia. And this also aligns with posture, and we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. So you're thinking to yourself, unless, you know, I have a gym in the workplace and I'm making then time to use it, because I can tell you we did have a gym at the hospital that I worked at, but nobody ever used it. Mind you, half of the workforce were nurses that were running around anyways. But even in jobs like that, it's intentional movement, right? We've talked about that in previous weeks. Some companies have adopted workplace wellness initiatives. However, corporate wellness programs are really often viewed as a nice to have rather than a necessity, right? So when the budget needs to be looked at, your corporate wellness program, and as someone that oversaw the corporate wellness program, I can tell you that your budget is very quickly chopped, right? Popular initiatives that you might see in your workplace, nutrition programs. I know we had things like Weight Watchers, physical fitness, so a gym, smoking cessation, stress management, health risk appraisals, on-site gyms, or discounted gym memberships. So, you know, make sure you check your company's intranet or the HR department so that you know what's actually happening within your workplace, and you can, you know, see what's being offered. And because there's nothing worse than just not knowing that you have these things in your workplace, but you're just not utilizing them. Okay, let's talk ergonomics, okay? So we already talked about how such a large percentage of jobs now are sitting, okay? So the Occupational Health and Safety Act defines ergonomics as the science of fitting workplace conditions and job demands with to the capabilities of the working population. So the first step is to improve your workstation. And I know when I first took on my first manager's role, I had my desk. I was just so stoked to have my own office. I had my desk set up so that it looked pretty, not because it was actually serving the way I worked. And I had a big window kind of coming in, and you know, the tray underneath for my keyboard I don't know, I don't remember why I didn't like it. So I always have my keyboard up, but I didn't have it set up so that it was suited to me. And I mean, at this point, guys, I was like 22, 23 years old. And within 4 months, I was getting headaches every day. like just issues up in my shoulders and my hips. And then I had an ergonomic assessment done. So to improve your workstation on your own, begin with adjusting your monitor to be directly centered in front of you, and above your keyboard. Okay, so mine was kind of like off to the side because it looked prettier there on my desk. And the top of the monitor should be 2 to 3 inches above your seated eye level. Okay, so recognize that. It may be easier to adjust your chair height depending on what kind of desk you have, but you have that option. Most workplaces have to have a standard type of chair now and the adjustable monitors. When sitting, you want to make sure that you're pushing your hips right to the back of the chair and adjust the back to be 100 degrees to 110 at a reclining angle, so that really to ensure that both your upper and your lower back are supported. Chair armrests should also be adjusted so that your shoulders are relaxed and your elbows and forearms are supported. So mine was, I had just dropped them right down because they were in my way, or I had them like this more because my chair was sitting too low. And try sitting like this for 8 hours and you're absolutely going to start to feel it. So when seated, your knees should be slightly lower than your hip level, but getting them so that you're not putting any, you're not dangling your feet. And for my fellow short people that you might be dangling your feet, you're putting pressure on the backs of your knees and your thighs, and which is then restricting blood flow. You restrict blood flow, you're gonna find yourself with fast asleep feet quickly. If your desk doesn't allow for your monitor level to adjust, you can still adjust other computer components. So your keyboard height can also be obviously adjusted, right? Whether it's a wireless or has a wire on it, you want to make it so that your shoulders are relaxed, again, so that you're not sitting up here and doing your thing for 8 hours. Many keyboards come specifically equipped with the adjusted little clips at the back as well. And a tilted keyboard can help you reduce wrist injury, right? Because again, if you're like this, or you're not at the right angle and you're just typing all day long, this is where you're gonna find issues. And I can guarantee, and I think you guys will probably agree with me, because of our, we didn't start using computers. I remember having a Commodore 64 as a kid, but we didn't really use it for anything, right? Nintendos were really just starting to come out too, but I think with between gaming and cell phones and all that kind of stuff at a younger age, we're gonna know if we don't teach even our kids these things now, we are gonna have just even bigger issues than we do right now. So just throwing that out there. Since we're kind of paying attention to making sure that everything's situated properly, I want to outline the importance of, if you are going to stand up at your desk, this is such a great opportunity to just even take a minute to stretch your legs, right? Rotate your ankles, stand nice and tall, stretch your head, and your neck out, looking to the left, looking to the right, lowering your kind of bending at your hips and stretching out your back, lowering your head to each ear, shrugging your shoulders a few times. And guys, the biggest thing that you can do is take deep, deep breaths. And this is where too, I would use my aromatherapy jewelry, because I could keep it hidden in my scent-free environment, where I would just breathe in all those good oils that are going to calm me and help me focus, right? And ones that I used in the morning when I'm really high energy in the morning. So I used, and I could easily get myself worked up because I'm high energy. I used oils like Balance or Serenity were on my roller balls. And then come around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this is where I take the Intune roller ball. It's the Focus Blend, and I'll roll it right on my wrist and roll my aromatherapy bracelets right through it. And then I have it for the afternoon. And when I'm putting it on my wrist, it's getting into my bloodstream faster, right? And I have good things pumping up to my brain so that I can actually just focus. But if where possible, see where you can create a standing workstation. Sitting has been coined the new smoking. Okay, due to many negative health implications that are coming along with it. So, however, breaks during prolonged sit time have been correlated with a number of health benefits, including they will decrease your waist circumference. So, how am I putting that in a classy way? Your BMI, your body mass index, your triglyceride levels, your blood glucose levels, and your risk of musculoskeletal disorders, okay? So you want to, it doesn't matter, even if you're 20 watching this right now, I really encourage you to start working these things into practice, because you know somebody that has workplace injuries, you know somebody that because they spend too much time doing this, that they're not overly happy with either their body image or their mindset at this time, right? So while workstations, if you can make it ergonomic, this is really important. They'll help reduce injury. Getting you up and moving is even better, okay? So a standing desk. Standing workstations have been really gaining popularity recently, which is fantastic to see. So alternating 30 to 60 minutes of sitting and standing is better than merely sitting or standing all day, right? So these desks, they're really basic, guys, and they're not even expensive. You literally just adjust them up and down like you would a computer chair, okay? And when you're standing, I really encourage you to take up stretching, okay? So frequent stretch breaks throughout the day can be a really healthy way to move and disrupt that seated time. So stretches can be held even just for like 15 to 30 seconds. So, just even doing different things like bending and stretching out your finger joints, interlacing your fingers and your palms outward, and, kind of stretching them overhead, reaching and squeezing your shoulder blades back together, or drop, one ear to the side. Or I even I'll make a chicken wing with my one side and then drop my ear towards the chicken wing, and it really stretches out my shoulder and my neck all at the same time. That was a huge favorite of mine when I was spending tons of time on the computer. Because the idea, guys, is that you're just working really good habits into your day, okay? And even if you are moving a lot throughout the day, I mean, I certainly, I know a lot of people are like, this is all well and good, but I don't sit down at work all day. Try intentionally taking a break from running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and just go and take deep breaths and do a little stretch and then go. Because even though you're moving, you're going to be, and I'm sure, any of my teachers or nurses or physio, I know in my healthcare brain, there was more than half of that building didn't sit down all day. But you can still get to a point towards the end of the shift where you're feeling lethargic because you've been in robot mode the entire time. So, it's really recommended that even put on a Fitbit, right? I know my sister and my brother-in-law have Fitbit challenges that they give each other every single day. And it's actually recommended that everybody should get in at least 10,000 steps per day, while getting up at least once an hour is really recommended. Okay, so there's your goal: 10,000 steps a day, getting up at least once an hour. Okay, so if you're working an 8-hour day, there you go. You only have to leave your chair for 10 minutes once an hour, 8 times a day. So small actions throughout the day can really go a long way to reducing your health risks that are associated with prolonged sitting. So movement breaks throughout the day are really associated with increased energy, increased attentiveness, AKA more productivity. So some tips for incorporating movement into your workday. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Here's some ways to help you get your 10,000 steps in. Hold walking meetings. So I mentioned these before. I used to love to be like, if I knew I just had to touch base with somebody for like 15 minutes, I would be like, and especially if it was nice out, want to meet me here and we're gonna, do a lap of the parking lot while we're talking. And we would come up with the most creative ideas because we're moving. And if you can get outside, even better. Try sitting on even an exercise ball instead of sitting on a chair, right? So if you do that, you're working on your core, all of your stabilizers, your balance. Talk to your colleagues in person instead of like inter-office messaging or calling them. When I had to talk to somebody else, this is where I would use it as an opportunity to be like, all right, I know I have to take a break in 10 minutes. Instead of emailing them right now or calling them, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go talk to them, right? And it was an excuse to get up. Use the bathroom that's furthest away from you. So even if you have one right next to your office, try using the one down the hall or like on another floor. What would that look like every single time you did that? And even when you are parking in the morning, try choosing a parking spot that is further away, the furthest away from the building. Again, all of these things go a long way to really setting you up. Back to walking meetings. There's a TED Talks video that I had sent out previously that discusses walking meetings, and when she had to conduct a meeting while walking she was walking her colleague's dog. So watch that TED Talk that I had posted earlier in the week, because traditional conference room meetings are becoming really a thing of the past, right? And any organizations that are more forward thinking are absolutely adopting these principles. So what exactly is a walking meeting? It's just as it sounds. Meetings that are conducted while they're walking rather than sitting in a boardroom or going to a coffee shop. Walking meetings are not breaks. They're simply a different venue than normal work time. So while not all meetings are appropriate for walking meetings, some there's like, it's not like you're having an intense negotiation where like maybe a conference might be better. If you're trying to just even make decisions, problem solving, it's such a great way to get innovative, okay? So I challenge you, when you go back to work, start a walk and talk in your office. What could this look like for you? Here's a few tips on how you can kind of get that started. So provide an incentive for others to go for a walk. Take advantage of a nice day or go to a specific destination. So plan ahead. Don't spring a walk on your colleagues the last minute when they're wearing like their stilettos. It will allow everyone to prepare with like comfy shoes or a jacket or whatever they're wanting. Keep it small, right? And just get out and enjoy the fresh air. But how can you incentivize each other to do this? You might be having difficulty in convincing others that this might sound like a good idea, but remind them of the health benefits that we've already talked about, right? Multitasking, get physical activity while being productive and work tasks at the same time, right? I'm working and getting my 10,000 steps in. We're great multitaskers, right? Walking is energizing. You're getting fresh air. Your body, your lungs, your brain needs that. Walking and being outdoors so inspires creativity. And I know if I want to have some of my best creative genius thoughts, they happen when even if it's that day I'm walking home from getting my kids on the bus, right? Walking side by side, it also removes a sense of hierarchy when you're when you're at work, so that everybody feels free to let the information flow, okay? And physical exercise promotes overall physical and mental well-being. Also try doing something like office yoga, okay? So sitting for too long can actually cause tension in your body and straining of your lumbar spine, and then overstretching your back at the same time can, when you have, shorter muscles because they've been sitting, is not beneficial either. So over time, this will then lead to neck, shoulder, and lower back pain. So taking a few minutes, a few times a day to stretch with yoga can help everything and put everything back into alignment. So try a few poses even while you're sitting at your desk. So you can even do like a seated crescent moon pose. So collapse your hands together, raise your arms over your head, and lean to the right for 3 breaths and to the left for 3 breaths. I tried to lean to your left, my left. Right? So simple. Or even doing a chair pigeon pose. So while you're seated with both feet flat on the floor, cross your left ankle over your right knee at a 90-degree angle and keep the foot flexed to protect your knee, and then gently apply pressure to your knee, and do that for about 5 breaths. Again, guys, the key is in the breathing. You can also do a chair cat-cow stretch, because I think about the hospital that I worked at. The last thing I wanted to do was get down on the floor and actually, get on my hands and knees. So as you inhale, push your chest forward, put your shoulder blades back and down, and allow your head to move back to aligned with your hips. So when you exhale around your spine and drop your chin to your chest, and continue this for 5 breaths, right? Back and forth. Excuse me. And then you can also do a chair eagle pose. So this is where you can intertwine your arms by crossing your left over your right elbows, and then even do it where you clasp your hands together in front of you, and then slowly lift your arms towards the ceiling and hold for 3 breaths. And then repeat this in the other direction as well, right? And just really getting that stretch. Guys, you can thank me later on that one, because you will get so much more pleasure out of doing your desk job when you are moving a little bit. Okay. Can you get away? Okay, there's a ton of exercise apps available to even download. So if you can even sneak away into an unused conference room, or you can fit in a quick few minutes, even better, right? Or even grab a coworker, set up a date for you guys to do this, right? A few apps that you can try. There's one called 7-Minute Workout Challenge, or 7-Minute Workout Bite Size. There's a 7-Minute Workout app by Wahoo, and there's a 7-Minute Workout Challenge by Fitness Guide. So guys, there's tons of opportunity here for you to kind of, even if you can sneak away and you know that a space will be available, book a conference room for a meeting so that you can get your exercise in for the day. Or get the most out of your lunch hour. So most offices allow a 45 to 60 minute lunch break. So instead of using the time, to pick up lunch, try packing a lunch and dedicate some of the break to then moving. No, thank you. No.
Why can't I have it?
We'll talk about it after. Can you say hello? Hi! Okay.
Can I put it back in the drawer?
Yes, you can. And then back to your quiet activity, please. And thank you. Good woman. All right. Oh, Edward, leave your sister alone. Thank you. Kids. So most offices allow a 60 to 90-minute break. So instead of just going, picking up lunch, try even just packing a lunch and then dedicating this time to getting your body moving. So organize a group lunch break walk or dedicate 15 minutes to doing something active. You can join a nearby fitness class, take a lap around your building, just walking, taking the stairs to visit a friend on another floor to eat your lunch, walk laps around your floor, even keep weights at your desk and do some like arm curls or strap weights to your ankles and go for a walk, right? But make sure that you're using the most of your time. Excuse me. Okay. If you travel for work, many people travel for work, and so this can make it difficult to kind of get into a routine, right? So some things that you can try, only look for hotels that have fitness centers in them, or making sure that you're packing exercise clothing so that you can, if you're traveling to somewhere really, cool, use it as an opportunity to like go for a walk or hike, depending on where you're going. Walk around the airport terminal instead of just sitting at the airport terminal. Stretch when you're on the plane. This is like a must-have for me. And if you're sitting beside me ever, you will notice I'm doing all of these stretches. Or if I get up to go to the bathroom, I'm the guy that I'm like, get comfortable because I'm going to be standing as much as I can. Walk to the local restaurants instead of driving when you're there. And again, at the hotels, use the stairs, particularly if your hotel room is located on the 16th floor. You'll love that one, promise. So just because you're away, it doesn't mean that your body doesn't have to have any movement in it, right? And so many of the people that I coach are, how do I create these habits when my schedule is so all over the place, right? But this is where you really have to create your own habits, right? Because I think you can safely say that the beginning of the end of your health decline started when you were traveling a lot, right? And eating out all the time, not moving as much. You might have higher stress levels when you're doing that too. So I'm gonna copy and paste in the chat section a few different things for you guys to have a look at. But really, as a recap, we've discussed today a lot of different things. All in all, sedentary lifestyles are linked to many conditions like cancer, anxiety, depression, cardiovascular disease, obesity, high blood pressure, and cholesterol levels, okay? Standing throughout the day instead of staying seated for hours on end will improve your health, your mind, and your body, okay? Try using ergonomics, standing workstations, walking meetings, office yoga, and really optimizing your lunch hour in order to get all of these benefits, okay? But it is really time to break down these bad habits that we have formed because, guys, we're only going to be sitting more and more and more as technology kind of keeps creeping in, right? So it's up to you to decide what that's going to look like for you. So if you need more tips and tricks or have really good suggestions, post them in the feed, and we will be, happy to hop in on those too, because I'm still always looking for really great things that I can either adopt myself or help coach people through as well. So if you have anything great, post it in the chat box. And it was so awesome hanging out with you guys today. See ya.